I'm Ridhya Raj, the reading fairy, and you're tuned in to the author interview. Now, books have this phenomenal magic in them. They can take you on a journey through time, space, and history, through mythology, and all of the beautiful stories that have been woven since the beginning of time. Now, here to share her talent and of course, the beautiful books she's written is author Shavonne Bulmer. Shavonne, welcome to the author interview.
Thank you so much for having me, Raj.
Of course. And before we get to the fact that you're Madam Cupcake, let's go right to the beginning. Tell me how your journey as an author all began.
So it was in 2017 where I would say the starting moment of my author journey began. Um, and I think it's important to reiterate to people that your journey as an author doesn't start when you've written a book. Your journey of your author is actually when you've put pen to paper for the first time,
Mhm.
whether that's a jot down in a journal or a scribble on a serviette or just jotting on a piece of paper. It's the moment you've actually transferred your thoughts to a piece of paper. That's when your journey of an author has begun. Now, for me, that was New Year's Eve on 2016. So it was about at 10 o'clock at night on the 31st of December. And then I reread the piece on the 1st of January 2017. Now, it's important to reiterate or to disclose that in 2016 was when I decided the 31st or the 26th of August 2016 was when I decided to walk out of an extremely abusive relationship
Mhm.
and restart my life. So I was 34 weeks pregnant at the time. My mom and dad came to fetch me from Port Elizabeth, and I moved to Cape Town because this is where they are. And I restarted my life, gave birth, legal battles, the whole shish kebab, of which one of them was therapy. And in therapy, my therapist suggested that I should try journaling, which is a topic most, or a suggestion most therapists would suggest someone that's busy processing what I was busy processing. At the time, I was diagnosed with extreme PTSD. My scores were as bad as someone that has gone to war, so a soldier returning from war, basically. Um, and then me being stubborn, ignored that uh, advice for about 2 months. And then being alone on New Year's Eve with my tiny baby in the cot, I just took a writing pad and I started writing. And the very first piece I ever wrote was called Phantom of Music. And I then started processing whatever I needed to process through creative writing. And that became my therapy journal. And it was only 7 years after everything, winning my legal battle, meeting David adapting Alexia, David and myself getting married, David and myself having Lila. So I literally traveled the journey first before I felt safe enough to actually put down in a book each piece, therapy piece, and chronologically what happened to me. So that's my very, very first book, which is Get Out and Stay Out, which is nonfiction. It is a self help book for people wanting to change their life or how to support someone going through that. And it's got sections of my creative writing in it, amongst the step by step what I did, how I felt, how I thought. I am going to be printing this in South Africa. I'll be printing it over the next few months and then it will be available in South Africa. At the moment, it's only on Amazon. But that's what started my reading journey. My author journey was creative writing.
Siobhan, I want to thank you for being so vulnerable and speaking your truth. I know that it's not something that's easy to do, and I'm so proud of you And when you said
Thank you.
that this was a day that you made the decision to walk out, the first thing that sprung to my mind was to say congratulations,
Thank
because
you.
taking the step is a really big deal. And also taking your pain and turning it into something that can help others, I think is such a powerful statement about you as a person. So thank you for doing that. And I think that getting your book available here will help a lot of people.
Thank you. Yeah, it was, if I can be very vulnerable with this, is that I didn't do it for the sake of being famous or
Mm,
making money out of it. It was merely just, I know how scary that spot is. And my thought was, if I could make one woman feel hope that it
yeah.
was all worth it, that that would be enough. That then I've done what I've needed to do, you know. But it is it was done with the hope of helping and bringing awareness, because often people who haven't experienced the in it, you don't really understand how that
Yeah.
person's feeling and thinking, and the thing is that person's conditioned to think differently. The
Yes.
abuse conditions you to not think normally. And that was another aspect I wanted to bring out in the book, is to be like, don't expect them to be rational, because they're
Yeah.
not going to be rational. They've been conditioned not to be rational. But I do have the piece of the Phantom of Music in front of me, if you'd like me to read
Yes.
it,
Please go ahead.
share it. So this is my very, very first piece that I ever wrote. The Phantom of Music. Some songs are composed to be a duet, others for a whole orchestra to perform. Some songs are solos. Have you ever noticed that most solos have an underlying tone of loneliness to them? The instrument can be played in its full glory, yet it has no answer to its call. Its music is swallowed by the surrounding silence, as the music transforms into an echo, which eventually fades into silence. I don't even think I'm a solo song. I feel that I'm a phantom of music. My tune of my heart is only echoed with silence, as if I do not exist. I do not march to the same beat as the people of my time. I am out of beat. I do not fit in. I am the soundless flute that only adds to the whisper of the wind. I am the drum that can feel the beat around me, yet I am unable to replicate it. I am the music note that, when played, I am too much. My notes fade as if I am written with invisible ink, or ink only visible in fluorescent light. I am a song that cannot be sung, as the musical symphony within me is not of this time. It is not understood. It is a song that would speak truth of the whispers of the wind, a song that would bring warmth and comfort to the cold and lonely night, a song that the sun would sparkle to during the day, a song that not even a nightingale has the range to be able to sing, a song that has been enclosed in silence, a song that might never be played as my heart may never feel safe to play it. It is a tune that vibrates within my being, a tune that only I can hear. I do long for someone to unlock my heart, to hear my song and to dance with me to it. I want my song to be answered with a song of his heart, so that two solos may become a duet, and not answered with the loud ringing of nothing. I do not know if such a man exists, but I do feel exposed, and I'm hurt. I feel as if everything intimate about me is off-putting, as I am a classical piece and not a modern piece. Only time will tell if such a man exists, but until then, I am the phantom of music, the soundless flutes, the invisible music notes locked away in silence. Even my tears are in silence today, just streams of tears down my cheeks, no sound to accompany them. They are the tears of the silent song locked away in my heart, as it thought it had the opportunity to be played, yet the first few notes of the introduction were too much, and now it is silent. The vibrations need an escape, so the only way is to form tears. Have you ever wondered why tears come through the eyes? Eyes are supposed to be the windows to someone's soul, leading to their heart. If the heart is broken, the only way for the hurt to escape is for the brokenness to be sealed into packages, so they may be delivered through the window to eventually be evaporated, as if they never existed in the first place. 2016 has been a very long, hard year for me. A new town, a baby, a new job, losing weight, legal battles, trying to make new friends, therapy, trying to date again. Everything has been successful other than the dating. I'm scared to let someone in. What I show in the beginning is exciting, and then I become too much. I feel that who I am is someone who cannot be appreciated and loved. I'm too different. My ex said to me, he has damaged me beyond repair, so no man will ever love me. Sometimes I hear his voice saying this to me. Maybe I'm not worthy of being cherished. Maybe I'm only meant to be looked at, to be admired, but not to be adored and not to be cherished. The songless lark that is unable to attract a mate due to the lack of music, the lack of sound, the presence of silence. Maybe it's safer to be alone. One can find comfort in silence. I have before. Silence became a friend. It can be one once again. My heart is sore. It is almost poetic to end 2016 in tears as I started it in tears, almost a way to seal the year in its totality and let it evaporate into the past. I'm
Very.
not there anymore. I'm not there anymore.
I'm so glad that you're not. That was heart-wrenching, and it speaks volumes of your growth and also where you were at that point in time.
Yeah, it was necessary to write that down. But when reading it, it's like touching base with me back then, and I just want to hug her and say, it's okay. Look where we are now.
Look where we are now.
But
And
yeah,
and that is the magic of your books, Siobhan, is that it gives us the ability to look back and to also say, look at now. Look at how we've
yeah,
grown. And look at the magic that we found within ourselves.
oh, 100%,
And
100%.
and I think that with all of your books, that is a common thread, the triumph over the challenges. And I feel like that's part of
Oh,
why so
100%.
many people relate to your books the way that they do. Um, especially the
I
one with
do
the green cover, the retelling.
vengeance. That's
Yes.
fine. Vengeance of the Serpent Shadow. So how this bad boy came about was a reader read this, and they said to me, because of your creative writing, you've got to rewrite this in fantasy. And when I got that review, I was like, okay, sounds like a lot of work. And again, Shavonne, being stubborn, ignored it. And then in 3 months, after the 3 months passed, where I really thought about it, I was like, you know what, that actually sounds fun. Like, yeah, like you get, and again, my intent was not to be famous, not to make money from it. It was purely from, you get nonfiction readers and you get fiction readers. So why not put a story out there that does what Get Out and Stay Out does, but in fiction?
Fiction form.
And then this is how Vengeance of the Serpent Shadow was born. Now, this book and I have a love-hate relationship. So when someone buys any of my other books, I'm like, ooh, ooh. And when someone buys this book, I'm like, ooh, ooh. You know? Or if someone like gives me a good review on my other books, I'm like, oh yes, yes, yes. And when someone gives me a good review on this book, I'm like, really? Are you sure? Like,
Are
are you
you
sure?
sure?
Sure. Are you did we did you read the same book I wrote? You know, like and I think why I have such a love-hate relationship with this book is because where so when I wrote Get Out and Stay Out, I felt at peace writing it because it was the first time I felt safe enough to
Mm,
chronologically put down when this happened, it made me feel like this. When this happened, it made me feel like this. And I actually wrote that book for the day that Alexia is 18, that she can
mm,
read it and really understand, because obviously there's certain details. She knows our story, she knows the truth, but there's certain things that are not age appropriate for her to know now,
sure.
that when she's 18, sometimes it's better to read and then have a conversation with mom than just hear
Mm,
it from mom. But when I wrote Vengeance, it was processing the last bit of gunk, so to speak.
yeah.
You know, so it was I and I'm it sounds horrible to say it this way, but I wrote the book how I needed to write it to get the last bit of gunk out.
And there's
If
nothing
that
wrong with
even
that.
makes
There's
any
nothing wrong
sense.
with that.
No, there isn't. But it's me as a person who tends to always think of other people, right? So like Secret of the Shell and Sight of Stone, the way that I played with narrative there very much has readers in mind for the journey. This
Mm.
one, I was like, this is
But the rawness of it, the bringing the raw emotion and the feelings into it, sometimes that actually does help a reader a lot because a lot of the time when people are going through different situations, they feel so alone because there are details and elements of the truth that they don't feel very comfortable sharing. And
makes sense.
when you write in this way with that raw authenticity, you kind of give people the permission to acknowledge their own situations. So it still ended
Yeah.
up being very reader-centric.
I think also what's why the fact that it's also set epic fantasy, so it's epic
Mm,
fantasy. And I wrote a traditional epic fantasy, so it's a traditional written epic fantasy, like old school epic
yeah,
fantasy, like big words, long sentences, lots of description. You know, although there was intent in the lots of description, was I was really bringing over the point that you are made to feel like an object when you are a
yes.
victim in an abusive relationship. But also, I think what's played a lot of strength to this book of why readers are enjoying it is that it's Narnia. It's if I had to describe it, it's Narnia meets Lord of the Rings.
Okay,
There's a
so
lot
that's high
that
fantasy, all right.
yeah, there's a lot going in there. So it's yeah. There's battles. There's mystical creatures. There's enchanted forests. There's some mystical creatures that I thought up to represent certain concepts. There's owls. You know, there's
A lot of
the
world building
traditional
amidst the mythology.
yeah, and the three realms within this book. I don't want to say heavy world building, but there is attention to world building because the physical appearance of each kingdom was very important for the plot
Mm,
line. And I think that's what people and another thing, one of the feedbacks that I've gotten from the book is that they noticed that there's a slight lack of dialogue between Serafina and who's the main
mm.
character and other characters in the book, and they would have loved to have had more, but the plot is so thick and so like, oh my gosh, what's happening next? That you kind
Mm,
of look past it. To which I've said, but that was intended because
yes.
coming out of an abusive relationship. I had to learn how to re-communicate.
You don't
Like,
know that you have a voice. It's as good as not having a
no,
voice.
no. It was like, like my circle was my mom, my dad, my brother, and my three work colleagues. That was it. And my therapist. That was, and my lawyer. That was it. Like it, and anyone else, it was like,
Because
like, do I
you've
have to talk
had
to you?
to because you basically, as you say, you've actually phrased that really well. You have to relearn how to communicate because when you're in that abusive situation, every thought even is guarded. You're
Oh,
so
100%.
high, stressed and tense and tightly held that you can't even fathom a casual conversation, small talk. No.
No, ordering coffee is like anxiety stricken enough. That is like, you know, that's what I was portraying with the slight look. She does start talking more at the end of the book, but that was very deliberate in my book. Was
Hmm.
this chick needs like she doesn't talk a lot, and and it's deliberate because people that change from those circumstances don't talk a lot because
Hmm.
they don't know how to. They
Yeah.
have to relearn, and there's slight repetition. I wouldn't say a lot,
Mm.
but it also being so there's two aspects. One, when you're new in that journey, trauma makes you forget that you've said certain things, so you do tend
Yes.
to repeat yourself. And often the repetition isn't 100% the same because, again, trauma, you sometimes remember 80% of it, sometimes you remember 70% of it, then you remember 90% of it, and then you remember 60% of it. That's honestly just the effect that trauma has on the recall part of the
Well,
brain.
that is actually, it's not just something that Siobhan is saying. It's scientifically proven that memory
100%.
loss is a very big part of the trauma experience. And that is the reason as
Yeah.
to why there sometimes are blocks of years and months that people don't remember.
Yeah.
And this is why fiction is so powerful because you can learn
Mm.
so much through fiction.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
woven into a
You do.
world as such.
100%. And the thing is, so for me, I made the decision that I would risk the technical correctness of writing
Mm,
to prove a point. So editors, if and I had sent it through for an edit. They did come back and say that this is all repetitive. You should take it out. I'm like, no, that is
that's the
deliberate.
point.
That this is proving a point. So I know that I push boundaries when it comes to the technicality of writing and what you should do academically versus what I'm doing to portray something because I want to bring awareness to it. Because when an it's different when someone experiences it and feels something. And
Yes.
if I can do that through my writing and someone can experience that, oh my goodness, this is what a person feels or goes
Mm-hmm.
through when they're transitioning, that it just increases the probability of them having empathy. And I think the world needs a lot more empathy.
Well, on that point, I think that sometimes, you see, it's nice to have rules, and rules do have their place. But at the same time, the level of authenticity is something that also matters. And for example, having this, which is sometimes what editors would say, fix that or alter that. You are trying to bring a reader into a perspective. And sometimes it's
Mm,
for a reader that is traumatized to look at that and recognize and go, hey, wait,
mm.
that makes
This
sense.
is me.
Or for someone else to say, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Like my friend's been doing this. Maybe this is like I need to take a step back and I need to understand that this is not their fault. And so,
Mm.
again, when you've written your books to assist other people, this is where the assistance comes in. And oftentimes, when it comes to learning and empathy, it's not cutely packaged. Sometimes
No.
in your face for impact. And I think that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, it was it was an intent to, if someone was in that boat, for them not to feel alone
Yes,
and to feel, and then for those people who weren't in that boat to get understanding and awareness, and hopefully show some empathy. But
yeah,
unfortunately, like, yeah, empathy is sometimes I fear how society, the trajectory that society's going, and the lack of empathy that is apparent year on year is scary.
definitely is scary. And we'll come back to some of your other works, like, for example, Secrets of the Shell. But while we're speaking about empathy, and I think there is value in being the change that we wish to see, there was a little movement that began and that garnered international attention. The Mzansi cupcakes and Madam Cupcake herself, with a message of kindness, compassion, and care, started a bit of a revolution in the digital sphere of books and reading. And that has really been quite phenomenal. And again, I know that you did not do this with the intention of fame and glory for yourself, but instead to uplift other
Yeah,
authors, to amplify their voices, to encourage them to share their stories. And I think that that is something so incredibly magical.
thank you, Raj. Yeah, the Mzansi cupcake movement is something very close to my heart. And I'm so grateful and honored for all the cupcakes that jumped behind me to support me and jumped on the movement and owned the movement and helped grow it, because again, it wouldn't have been possible with just little old me. Um, but it was done because, again, the platforms don't favor South African content. And we don't have a we being South Africa does not have a very big reading culture like
Mm,
US and UK have, right? Um, so I thought if we were able to make a very distinctive space in the platform that local authors can be found, that is a phenomenal one. Um, And then obviously I was like, it doesn't just stop there. It could become a collaborative space, where it's small businesses could do PR boxes, or someone could offer editing skills, or a cover design, a local designer could do cover designs. The possibilities are endless. And it was really just a case of letting my fellow authors know, I understand this battle and I'm in this battle
mm,
with you, but we can be on the same stage together, and I'm going to clap for you when you get success, and we celebrate this together. There's enough readers out there to not have to backstab each other and not have
yeah.
to pull one another down. There's more than enough to support one another and clap for one another, and find the readers. And it's really been beautiful to see how it has grown. It is phenomenal. And that, I don't have a huge following. I mean, I'm very thankful for every single one who's followed me, and I'm very honored by it. But from a statistical standpoint, I mean, I'm not a huge creator numbers wise, right? But the fact that this movement inspired a section of Book Talk USA, which is the
Yes.
Book Talk, right? I mean, that's Formula One. We Formula 3, they're Formula One. Um, that it inspired them to somewhat to actually stop and be like, hey, you know, like, this trajectory that we're on isn't healthy. Like, it isn't lacquer. Like, look, why don't
It's
we do
not
something like what they're
kind.
No, and it really, and the thing is, safe space
Yes.
was my ethos. Okay.
And it still
But let's
is.
define what, and it still is. Let's define what safe space is. Safe
Mm,
space is not forcing you into a view of mine,
mm,
nor is it you forcing me into a view of yours.
mm-hmm.
It is a space where you and I can discuss, I think A, you think B. This is why I think A. This is why you think B. Okay, we leave the safe space. We think about what has been shared. There's two things that are either going to happen, or three things actually. Either I'm going to stick to point A,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm going to change to point B, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to. There's always a mix between two viewpoints. You're going to find the middle ground, being the third, right? But it's about having respectful dialogue. It's
Yes.
about being able to have a respectful dialogue and not rip each other apart because I'm now offended that you think B and how dare you think B,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to cancel you for thinking B, because that's essentially what was happening in the USA. So that is, and that's a space or a culture I try to facilitate in
Away
my
from.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and it's tiring. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's rainbows and sunshine every day because you get some peeps that are very fired up, and rightly so. You can be fired up, and you should be fired up on certain topics, but just you don't need to be fired up and break someone down because they
Yeah.
don't agree with your point of view.
Absolutely. And I think that this is why it's ended up being something that so many people have wanted to join in on. And I know personally, I have seen so many more authors that I was not aware of, and so many more readers that I was not aware of come together because ultimately what they want is a space to just have books. Whether it's
Mm,
from a writing perspective or a reading perspective, just have those books and have people who love books around you. And
yeah.
the mere fact that this is the safe space, it means that there is always respect held at the highest point. And I want to thank you for what you've done for the South African bookish community because I see you highlight authors all of the time. I see you speaking and interacting with reader accounts, and I also, the crowdfunding that you've been putting together to help other authors that are aspiring to get their first copies into print. I think all of that is phenomenal, and it's for good reason that you're referred to as Madam Cupcake. And I know that you're currently working on another book. So, how you
Yes.
managed to do it all, I'm not entirely sure, but I am in awe. That I can tell you.
I function well in chaos, Raj. I function well in chaos. So no, I think look, David is a massive support in my life. And when things are a bit crazy on my side, he does step in as dad and help with the kiddos. It's the boat is always kept afloat
Yeah.
at home. And I think with the Mzansi Cupcake Rising Voices Fund, I only started really focusing on writing my book once that achievement was made,
Mm,
that funds were raised. Um, but I'm just blown away that strangers in the community were willing to fund two authors to print their first 50 books. Um, and in November, I'm having a very exciting meeting. I can't say who yet, but there is a big chance for a possibility of a collaboration with the publishing house, for them to help me keep the costs down as low as possible. So these authors are really going to get a really good footing in the industry. My only dream is now to be able to grow it to a point that it's more than two authors that I can help at a time, and
mm,
that it actually becomes a self-sustaining fund, that it becomes something that, authors can use as a funding process. But I
Mm,
have to start somewhere. And you know what? I at least got to my first goal
of
of two authors
course.
being able to be helped.
Well,
Yeah.
from one Mzansi cupcake to another, I want to thank you for your contribution to the South African literary space, from not just sharing your vulnerability and your writing in your books to paying it forward for future authors. I cannot wait to see where the future takes you, Shavonne, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thanks, Raj. It means a lot.